estimated 16,000 suicidal deaths annually, with a heartbreaking number involving young people between the ages of 15 and 29. Behind those numbers are veiled faces, sons, daughters, friends, whose silent battles went unseen, whose cries for help were drowned in the stigma of silence or shame. Today, as we gather here, we must remember that mental health is not a privilege, it is a right. And tackling drug abuse and suicide is not just a medical or social issue, it is a moral duty we owe young people. In our communities, we see a troubling pattern, one where drug abuse, mental distress, and suicide form a vicious triangle. For many young people, substance use begins as a temporary escape from unemployment, from pressure, from trauma, or even from hopelessness. But the escape often becomes a trap, drawing them deeper into isolation and despair. At the Ministry of Youth and Social Development, we see these stories daily, not as statistics but as lived experiences. Each story reminds us that behind every case of addiction or attempted suicide is a cry for connection, understanding, and purpose. And that is why our fight against drug abuse in Lagos State is not only about restriction and law enforcement, it is equally about rehabilitation, empowerment, and hope. Under the visionary leadership of Mr. Babajide Olusola Sanwo-Olu, the Lagos State government has placed youth development at the heart of its Teams Plus agenda, recognizing that our young people are not just the future, but the force driving the present. At the Ministry of Youth and Social Development, we are responding to the dual crisis of drug abuse and mental health through a multi-layered approach built around prevention, treatment, and empowerment. So let me briefly highlight a few strategic pillars that we use at the Lagos State Ministry of Youth and Social Development. First, we have the Lagos State Kick Against Drug Abuse, LASCADA. This is the flagship initiative of the ministry dedicated to tackling substance abuse across the state. Through LASCADA, we have carried out statewide sensitization campaigns in schools, markets, and communities, reaching thousands of young people with real, relatable messages about the dangers of drug abuse. We've also partnered with faith-based organizations, youth groups, and NGOs to create safe spaces where young people can share their struggles without the fear of judgment. And lastly, we have engaged rehabilitation centers and mental health experts to support recovery and reintegration of affected individuals. The philosophy behind LASCADA is simple but powerful: to replace addiction with ambition and despair with direction. We are also working hand in hand with the Ministry of Health, the Lagos State Drug Control Committee, and mental health professionals to integrate drug abuse control into broader mental health policy. Our collective goal is to build a community-based response system where teachers, parents, peers, and youth ambassadors are trained to identify early warning signs and intervene before the crisis escalates. Distinguished guests, policies alone cannot heal a wounded heart. Data cannot confront a grieving family. Enforcement without empathy can only go so far. That is why in Lagos State, our approach is rooted in human connection. We are training social workers, counselors, and youth officers to approach each case with compassion, to listen first, to understand, and then to act. Because often, what a struggling young person needs most is not punishment but presence. Let us remember, empathy is not weakness. It is strength in its most healing form. While government plays a crucial role, it is important that this issue be fought in every community, on every campus, in every online space where young people gather. That is why the ministry continues to empower youth ambassadors and peer educators, young champions who can reach their peers in ways that traditional structures cannot. And to every young person listening here today, your voice matters. If you overcome addiction, share your story. It can save another life. If you notice a friend slipping away, reach out. Your concern could be the turning point. And if you have influence, use it not to glamorize substance abuse, but to normalize healing and seeking help. In Lagos State, we believe something strongly, that the fight against drug abuse and suicide is not about control, but rather about who cares. One of the most dangerous aspects of this crisis that we are all gathered here today to discuss about is silence. Silence that tells young people they must be strong and never show weaknesses. Silence that treats addiction as shame and mental health as taboo. Silence that hides our collective pain behind hashtags and filters. We must break that silence in our homes, in our schools, our places of worship, and policies. By normalizing conversations like this about mental health, we take away the stigma and bring healing closer to those who need it. Government alone cannot do this, as I've said before. We need the media houses like Vanguard, private sector partners, health professionals, religious leaders, and every citizen to become part of this shared mission. Let us build a Lagos State where every young person feels seen, they feel valued, they feel heard, and they feel supported. Where recovery is not whispered in shame, but celebrated in strength. Where suicide is no longer an escape, but hope is always within reach. As I conclude, let us hold fast to this truth. No life is beyond redemption, and no young person is beyond purpose. Each of us here today can become a bridge between despair and hope, between addiction and recovery, and even between silence and healing. And as the Honorable Commissioner often says, when we empower the youth, we do not just secure the future, we protect the present. On behalf of the Lagos State Ministry of Youth and Social Development, I reaffirm our commitment to a future where no young person is lost to drugs, to silence, or to suicide. And I am positive that together we can make Lagos not just the center of excellence, but the center of empathy and empowerment. Thank you very much, and God bless you.
Thank you for that passionate advocacy. No young person is beyond redemption. Very important words from the young ambassador. I mean, to think that, was it 16 or 16,000 people? 60,000 people. 16, right? That's a staggering number that should really call for a national emergency. But like you rightfully said, let's break that silence and let's save as many young people as we can. All right, so for the next 10 minutes, I'll really crave your indulgence to pay attention to the presentation by the Honorable Commissioner for Health, Lagos State Commissioner for Health, Professor Akin Abayomi. who is ably represented by Dr. Tolu Ajomale. Dr. Tolu Ajomale, is he here? Okay. Okay, it's not around. Okay. Alright, so I think I'll just quickly call for her presentation on How Are You by Ms. Titi Tade, who is the Director, Head of Medical Social Services Department of the Lagos State University Teaching Hospital.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let me quickly correct that. I'm not from Lagos State University. I'm from Lagos University Teaching Hospital. There's a difference. Lagos State is Lasut, and Lagos University is Luth.